housing, the Centre for Cities has warned that Labour will miss its pledge of 1.5 million new homes by 2029 by at least 388,000 homes. So are you going to meet that 1.5 million pledge? Can you give us a cast-iron guarantee that pledge will be met?
We are confident that that target can be met. It is an incredibly stretching target, and I think we deliberately chose it for that reason. And I just put to your view as the counterfactual. We could have picked fairly easy target that we know we could have comfortably met, could have picked the previous government's target of building just under 1 million homes over a parliament. That wouldn't have been commensurate with the scale of the housing crisis that this country is in the grip of. You know, that won't deal with the fact that a generation is locked out of home ownership, that we've got 1.3 million people languishing on social housing waiting lists, that we've got, to our shame as a country, 160,000 children right now homeless in temporary accommodation. So yes, it's a stretching target, it's challenging. We've got to take reform across the board. It's got to be reform and investment. It's a set menu, if you like, not a la carte. We've got to do everything. We're working at pace to do that. But if we are confident we can meet the target.
In that case, you say you've got 1.3 million on housing waiting lists. Why on earth isn't Labour doing more to bring immigration down really, really considerably? Because we've got an ONS prediction that the population is going to go up to 72.5 million by 2032. 4.9 million of that is going to be made up by migrants. So actually the maths don't add up on your housing targets. You're not going to have nearly enough homes built by 2032.
I would just gently push back on those ONS figures. I think they take trends baked in under the previous government. And you will know that between 2019 and 2024, migration doubled, reached nearly 1 million points in single years. That is unsustainable. We've been very clear that we've got to restore order to the asylum and immigration system. We've got to bring levels of net migration down. And in doing so, we will take pressure off the housing system. We're not going to set arbitrary targets like the previous government did that are not achieved.
Well, because why can't you just set a target that is achieved?
There's no point picking arbitrary targets. We're very clear on our commitment to bring down levels of net migration. But Camilla, what I'd sort of say...
But literally by how many? But even if you don't bring down a target, just give me a rough figure. I've asked Yvette Cooper this, the Home Secretary. She can't answer either. How does the electorate have to have any confidence in what Labour's saying if you won't even give us a ballpark? 100,000, 500,000, 900,000? Just give us an estimation.
But I think the electorate, I don't know about you, I think the electorate are tired of politicians pulling out these arbitrary figures on migration and not meeting them. They should judge us. They should judge us by our actions. The number of removals since we took office over 16,000, enforced returns up 24% since July, foreign criminals being deported in large numbers. They should judge us by our actions rather than some arbitrary target. I think they've had enough of that under the last Labour government. But we are
don't you think the electorate is moving closer to Reform, who are now ahead in all of the polls because Reform have been really clear on net zero migration? Don't you think that's how the electorate is reacting to 14 years of Tory rule and Labour ambivalence on immigration numbers?
I just, I'm afraid, fundamentally reject that we are ambivalent on numbers. We are
Well, you won't give me a number. That's why you're being ambivalent. If you were being unequivocal, you'd give me a figure.
No, I'm not going to pick out an arbitrary number from the air live on Sunday morning television that when, you know, in the way that the previous government did. I think people have lost confidence in that type of approach. They should judge us on our commitment to bring down levels of...
You're saying, I think... But they've lost confidence in politicians because you're saying you won't set a target because no politician seems to be able to meet a target. And then you're wondering why people have lost faith in politics. How it should work is you set a target and you meet it. And then the electorate says, thank you very much, you've honoured a manifesto pledge.
And we'll set out further details in due course. There's a white paper coming that will evidence the way we think we can bring down levels of net migration. As I've said, a number of evidence points that shows how serious we are on the numbers of deportations taking place, on enforced returns. That is a clear direction of travel that this government are going in. But I come back to the point on housing, Camilla. Even if levels of net migration were not what they were under the previous Conservative government, even if those trends weren't being extrapolated forward, we'd still need to build houses in huge numbers of all tenures, because for decades in this country, we have not built enough homes for our people. So removing net migration from the equation, you'd still have to build in large numbers. Is why we're so determined to meet this 1.5 million new homes target, because a situation where we've got, as I've said, 160,000 children homeless right now in temporary accommodation, that a target, much less ambitious target, million or whatever it might be, would not be enough to meet that challenge.
Thank you, Minister. We just have to leave it there for time reasons, but thank you so much for your time this morning. Great to speak to you.